Alright, so I'm going to rank every Fast and Furious movie from worst to best. Now, I like all the movies, but they do go over the top and drop a bit in quality when compared to how they first started, but that's to be expected ever since Paul Walker died, so quite a few of them can be interchangeable. At the bottom, it's going to be Fast X. I like what they do with Dante Reyes coming back to get revenge for his father who died in Fast 5. However, Jason Momoa, who plays him, I feel like is just a bit off. I can't really see him playing a crazy character like Reyes, but I do like how it sets up the finale of the franchise. Next is going to be F9. This movie kind of just shows that the Fast and Furious franchise was running out of ideas, so they just introduced a brother that Dom had that had never been mentioned before, played by another big name actor like John Cena. However, this is where it gets over the top when they drive or fly a car to space. Next is going to be the fate of the Furious, and the idea of Dom turning on his family and sort of becoming the villain was a cool idea, but this was the first movie without Paul Walker, so it took some getting used to. Next is Fast and Furious, or the fourth one, and of the OG movies, this is the lowest ranked of them because I feel it has the least to offer, but it brought Paul Walker back and Dom, and it was a good setup for future movies. Next is Hobbs and Shaw, and I like the dynamic between the two, and The Rock and Jason Statham do a good job in their respective roles. And I like Idris Elba as the main villain, but it also feels like another one of The Rock's movies to control everything in a franchise and to have his own way, kind of like how he did with Black Adam. Next is Too Fast, Too Furious, and I like the dynamic between Brian and Roman, and I feel like that this is the most underrated movie in the franchise as it gets overshadowed by all the other ones. Following this is The Fast and the Furious, which started the whole franchise. And it's a good movie on its own, but does feel dated if you watch it. After this, I took Fast and Furious 6, and this turned the franchise into much more of an action series, and the crew bringing down a major villain instead of a heist or racing type movie, but it works nonetheless. Following this is my personal favorite, even though it's third place, it's Tokyo Drift. This is really the last racing Fast and Furious movie, and the whole Japanese aesthetic mixed with drifting just makes you like cars. Plus it introduced my favorite character, Han. Second is Furious 7, and this movie is a love letter and send-off to Paul Walker and has everything a Fast and Furious movie should offer, and highlights the brotherhood between Brian and Dom, and has a great villain in Deckard Shaw. But I think number one is Fast 5, and it has everything a Fast and Furious movie should offer, even more so than Furious 7. It has some racing elements mixed with a lot of action, but the main premise is the heist to steal the money from Reyes, and this movie brings together all the characters we've seen in past movies into the main crew that appear in the rest of the franchise. But if this was your list, how would you switch things around?